Well, we are, of course, waiting for Vice President Kamala Harris to take to the podium. Meantime, let's bring in Robert Wolf, Fox News contributor and former economic advisor to President Obama. Robert, great to have you on. I understand you have recently spoken with the Vice President. What is she saying about her plan? What can you kind of articulate for us here?
Yeah, thank you, Trace and Jillian. I spoke to the Vice President this morning. I've been speaking to her campaign the last few weeks in advance of this economic platform that she's putting out. As your prior guest says, and a lot of the journalists are saying throughout the day, this is really going to be a plan about lowering costs and making things more affordable. And, no one is saying that it's easy out there, but we're certainly getting an economy that's getting better and better, and we need to continue it.
It looks like, Robert, we have not heard the Vice President articulate this in her own words, but we have seen the policy proposals, or at least an outline of them on paper this morning from the campaign. She is making fighting what she calls price gouging a centerpiece of her economic plan. She wants to keep costs from continuing to rise at the rate that they have been. But obviously, her critics and Republicans have already been pushing back and saying that is called straight up price controls, not somewhere we want to go in the United States.
Yeah, Jillian, I would probably phrase it a little differently. I would say that, hardworking Americans, everyone wants to try to live the American dream. And the best way to do that is to be able to put food on your table, to be able to afford health care, to be able to give your kid a good education, and to be able to try to own a home. And if you look at her plan, those are the things she's tackling. And it's not going to be easy because she's going to have to work with Congress on a bunch of them. But she's giving a $6,000 tax credit to newborns. She's going to extend the child care tax credit. That's a no-brainer for this country for middle and low income individuals and families. She wants to, start a rejuvenation of housing with a $40 billion fund and giving tax incentive to home builders and to rental builders. And listen, people said they couldn't do it on prescription drugs. And we know that they've done that with insulin and then another 10 prescriptions in the last week. So there's always ways to negotiate to try to get better pricing.
Robert, what's happening here, some of the perception is that, the Vice President, this administration are accusing food people, the grocers, of gouging. I mean, that's kind of what's coming out of this, saying that it's the grocery stores that are greedy. And you look at the profit margins, and they're between 1 and 1.5, 1.8%, depending on the year. They're thin, they're small, and there is zero evidence of any grocery chain or store in the country being greedy and gouging people. How do you get over that when you talk about price controls?
Trace, I'm not sure that is accurate or not. Vice President Harris has been a prosecutor, and, I was someone that used to run a bank, so we thought we weren't greedy either. And we know that there are things that we lived in the gray area and we could have done better. And people have said that with pharmaceuticals, and we know that's not accurate either. So I think they're going to have a hard look at it. Certainly, I'm a capitalist, and I believe in supply and demand issues. But some of this pricing, I think, has just gotten out of hand. It should have been lowered post-COVID.
Robert, just so you know, we're gearing up to hear from the Vice President herself in just a moment. This gentleman is introducing her. We're going to have to cut to that as soon as she takes to the stage. But in the meantime, what do the first thing that she mentions, that the campaign mentions in the plan, is this massive housing expansion. They want to build 3 million homes, they say, specifically for first-time home buyers. Is it realistic to think that that's something that could happen? She would need congressional approval in order to get the funding. But then also, is that something that realistically could even take place in 4 years?
I've been in finance for 40 years. I started at Salomon Brothers. We were the ones that developed the mortgage industry with Lou Ranieri. I went to then UBS, which we were one of the largest lenders to the housing market. Housing's not easy. And what's happening right now, Jillian and Trace, is we have something we haven't seen for almost ever. We have first-time home buyers that normally buy existing homes that aren't buying existing homes because they don't exist. They're not for sale. And we have existing homeowners that are staying in their home because of high interest rates that the Fed has put on due to inflation, and because post-COVID, there just wasn't a lot of supply. So this is a way that, hey, listen, I give the administration a lot of credit for trying to tackle this issue that really no one's tackled for years, and certainly since COVID. So I think it's a good idea. Whether they can get Congress and the senators and House members to look at these tax incentives and have this new type of fund will be interesting. But I think it's a plan that could actually work. I don't know if it can work in 4 years, but I think it could work.
It's interesting, Robert, because, I've been in California, so I've been watching Kamala Harris when she was in local office here as an attorney general, as a mayor in San Francisco. I'm sorry, as the DA in San Francisco. And she's been pushing for the same thing, build housing, build housing. And the former president is right when he says that half of housing is the cost of regulation. And nobody is more regulated than California. I mean, we did the story a few nights ago or a few weeks ago about this bathroom in a suburb of San Francisco, a public bathroom that was 60 square feet that was going to be $2 million because of regulation. So the prospect of building millions of homes seems to be as impossible now as it was when Kamala Harris was the Attorney General of California.
Yeah, I would respectfully disagree on that. I don't know what California is doing in their regulation, but housing has a lot to do with what happened during COVID, when supply chains closed, construction closed, and the supply and demand got completely out of whack. As I said, the correlation between existing homeowners and first-time homeowners is something I haven't seen in my 40 years in finance. I would also say that, former President Trump also spoke about infrastructure week and could never get it passed. We now have an infrastructure bipartisan policy passed with about $500 billion plus ready to go to work from the private sector to work on with the government on this infrastructure. So, I would just say that there's a lot of things this administration did and that the other administration could not get done.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.